Ladies and gentlemen, it is day 3 of Mirror Now's campaign, Old Car Net Bekaar. The Delhi government, as you know, is on an overdrive to tow away over-age vehicles in the capital and send it to the scrapyard. They are in such a hurry to implement a 2018 Supreme Court order in 2023 that they have dropped rules, propriety and decency in the process. Many people in Delhi have had their 15-year-old cars towed away without even a notice. Sometimes even cars that have a valid RC are being towed away. They are being impounded not just from outside homes and offices, but from gated communities as well, inside gated communities as well. Yes, the Supreme Court has said that to control pollution in Delhi, 10-year-old diesel vehicles and 15-year-old petrol vehicles will be outlawed, that they will be impounded and sent to the scrapyard. But the Delhi government's drive is ham-handed, and it violates the rights and dignity of a citizen. You will know what I mean when you hear from citizens from Delhi. The sheer gundagardi is blatant, but what is worse is the stench of corruption that surrounds the entire drive. Today, listen in to two citizens. One is a Supreme Court lawyer and the other is a corporate employee who are exposing what exactly is going on in the name of an anti-pollution drive in the capital. Just listen in to these two citizens of Delhi.
We are actually victims of this, scrap mafia work which is going on in Delhi in the name of NGT order and Supreme Court order. It's a clear case of extortion whereby they are even picking the vehicles where the RC, the registration certificate fitness is valid. For next 5 years, my vehicle had that kind of, registration, valid registration for 5 years. It was picked up. They are even entering the gated society, private land, and forcefully they are, taking away, the vehicle with a valid RC. It has happened in our society. More than 18 to 20 vehicles have been taken in a single day. And they didn't listen. They didn't, allow us to, take away our belongings. They didn't consider the valid RC. They didn't consider the argument that it's a private land, it's a gated society, and it's a clear misuse of the NGT and Supreme Court order.
Can you tell me about the role of Pine View, how they have extorted the people, and what has the government or any other authorities done for it?
Ma'am, it's a, this Pine View is one of the scrapping agency. It's actually a scrapping mafia. And they are completely hand in glove with the MCD officials. I had seen it because after my vehicle was illegally taken away, I had approached Municipal Corporation of Delhi, South Shahadara Zone. I have met the Assistant Commissioner there, Deputy Commissioner there. I have given it in writing that this has happened with me. I had valid RC. The vehicle was parked. It was not moving on the road anywhere. But still, it was completely no attention was given to us. And my plea was not, heard. My written complaint, of my co-residents, nothing mattered to them. They simply said, no, they can take away the vehicle.
Did you get the vehicle back, or did you get the did you get the money?
Ma'am, in my case, I had the valid RC. So I insisted that I want my vehicle back in the same condition. So after doing 5-6 visits to Assistant Commissioner South Shahadara office, the Assistant Commissioner told me to contact the Pine View, and he even indicated that whatever terms and conditions, whatever indications that Pine View is giving, you will have to follow that. Then they may release your vehicle. It is completely up to them. I was left completely at mercy of Pine View Mafia. I went to their office. Pine View simply told us that yes, we have got some message for your vehicle. We can release the vehicle, but you have to pay 15,000 rupees in cash, for which we will not give any receipt. And this is simply our margin and the money that we pay to MCD and some kind of taxes that we do. I said, then you give the receipt. In case you are paying the taxes, then you give me the receipt. They refused to give the receipt. They said, if you want your vehicle back, in whichever condition it is available, you have to pay. I have a witness who had gone with me. I have a witness in front of whom, they asked this money. I have everything. I have also recorded a small video, which I can show you, of making payment of 15,000 rupees in cash. From my vehicle, when they released the vehicle after taking payment of 15,000, I noticed that my vehicle was damaged, and they have also stolen the vehicle front glass, entire fuel from the from the vehicle, and the front bonnet, side glass, everything was damaged.
On 27 February, when I was arguing the matter in the Supreme Court, these gundas came home. It was parked just in front of my house, and my wife was there in the house. They came, they gave some receipt saying that this car has to be lifted. She repeatedly called me. I said, no, I can't come because I am arguing a matter. It's a very serious matter. I'm arguing with the court. But despite, she asked them to wait for some time because there are his files and everything is there in the car, which he will be using it for the next cases. Please don't take the car till he comes. But they did not oblige. Immediately they took the car and they picked it.
And there were files inside.
And there were files, all my current files, which I supposed to argue next final argument. All my files were dumped in that car.
Now, is that the way for any government to treat any citizen in this country? What is this if not gundagardi and extortion? This is citizens of Delhi speaking. And they have been speaking for the last 3 days, ladies and gentlemen. And they'll be speaking to us for the next 2 days as well. And they have stories to tell that should shock anyone, that will shock anyone. Not just of high-handedness, not just about the way a government department is treating citizens in this country, but also the corruption that surrounds an anti-pollution drive. There's another angle to the story. The Supreme Court has mandated a scrapping policy for the NCR in 2018, but India has a separate vehicle scrapping policy which was introduced by the centre in 2021 and will come into full effect from 1st of June 2024. 1st of June 2024 is when this new scrapping policy comes into being, and it's very different from what has been laid down for Delhi. Now, the new policy by the Government of India aims at phasing out old and polluting vehicles and replacing them with fuel-efficient ones. Let's put out the process for you because the process is fairly simple. Let's put out those graphics for our viewers. If you have a private vehicle which is over 20 years old, you will have to get it tested. So if I have a private vehicle, it is over 20 years old, I will have to get it tested. And only if they fail, my vehicle fails to pass the fitness test, will their cars be declared end-of-life vehicles and be sent for scrapping. Simple. Now, if your vehicle fails to pass this fitness test, even then, the government cannot pick up your vehicle just because they want to. You will have the option to get it repaired and serviced and reapply for the fitness test. If it passes the test, you get the vehicle registration renewed. Upon failing, it becomes eligible for scrapping. That sounds very fair. And the government is giving concessions for scrapping your vehicle. Here is what you get apart from the scrap value when you send your vehicle to the scrapyard once this new policy kicks in, and it kicks in on 1st of June 2024. If you buy a new vehicle after this, you get a discount of up to 6% on the vehicle's ex-showroom price. You get an additional 5% discount from the manufacturer, and you get a rebate of up to 25% on your road tax liabilities. And on top of this, your registration charges for the new vehicle are waived off. How is it possible, ladies and gentlemen, that we have one scrapping law for the national capital and another one for the rest of the country? How does it even make sense? Let me get my guests in this evening. Rahul Mehra is a senior lawyer from the Supreme Court. He is joining us on the broadcast. Hormaz Sorabji is the editor of Autocar India. He is joining us on the broadcast as well. Rahul Mehra and Mr. Sorabji, there's a reason why I've come to you after playing out the voices of citizens in this country. Because people have to know and viewers have to know what exactly is going on in the name of an anti-pollution drive. Yes, the Supreme Court has asked the Delhi government to impound and scrap all vehicles that are over the age of 10 and 15 years, diesel and petrol respectively. But A, is this the way to do it? And B, who answers for what citizens are telling us? That even if you have a valid RC, from inside your gated colony, your vehicles are being picked up? Even if you have a valid RC. And when you go and ask for your vehicle back, you're being asked to pay 15,000 rupees. हो क्या रहा है ये? कुछ भी.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree more with you, Shreya. This is absolutely something which is obnoxious in the name of rule of law. We are in a democracy. There is also a right to privacy. I personally feel that this is impinging that particular right. It's a fundamental right of every citizen. Yes, there are certain duties, and we need to have those duties. And the duties are that air pollution, which is probably the air quality, which is the one of the worst in the capital city. Although it's improving over the last few years, but still it's way beyond what it should be in a growing economy and in a world where we are living in, where we say that we are going to be in the top 3 economies of the world. Every citizen needs to be responsive and responsible to the rule of law. But the rule of law has an underlining feature, which is that the due process needs to be followed. Nobody is saying that this policy should not come in, but the way the policy is being implemented, the way the mafia, if I may call it, of the people in uniform, or the people who are supposed to implement this particular law, is right now prevailing in the capital city under the garb of air quality needs to be made better, is for all of us to see. I had a couple of very senior designated lawyer, who called me about a couple of months back when his brother, who's a resident of one of the states up in the mountains in India, he had sent his Mercedes to this lawyer, senior advocate in Delhi, to be repaired because certain parts were not available there. The car was actually standing in the garage of this senior advocate. And while he was in the court, the vehicle was actually picked up from inside his house. Frantic calls were made by his family, of which he couldn't take at that point in time because he was in the court arguing a particular matter. And subsequently, they took it. He's a man of resources. He pulled all strings, but nothing worked. And by the time he realized that the entire car has been, played around with, parts were taken out. These were expensive parts, and probably, all of them were sold in the gray market. Now, who is monitoring this complete abject, giving up of the responsibility of the state? Why is there a complete mismatch between the central policy and when the state government transport minister himself has said that this is completely unacceptable because of the politics in the national capital territory between the center, which is ruled by BJP, and the state, which is ruled by AAP, and the bureaucracy which actually came under AAP, but then subsequently through a notification was taken away. All the officers in the capital city actually are only right now responsible and are taking orders from the central government, nominee in the LG, and which is why this complete mayhem and chaos in the city. There is absolute.
There is mayhem and chaos.
The due process.
And Rahul, my point is, who's monitoring that process? That is true. And who's monitoring this process? Because clearly no one from the Delhi government is monitoring this process. And if they are monitoring it, then someone is benefiting from it. There is a clear mafia that is at play here. I have no doubt about it, Rahul, because 2 days ago I got a call on this very show, and it's on record, from a gentleman in Delhi telling me about his father, whose car was scrapped 2 years ago, again by the Delhi government under the same drive. 2 years ago, he got a call from a service center in Punjab, thanking him for his patronage and asking him for feedback. What does it mean? Here you have a gentleman who's saying that I had a valid RC. On this show, a couple of minutes ago, a gentleman saying I had a valid RC. They took away my car and asked me to pay 15,000 bucks to return it. Are chal kya raha hai ye? I mean, this is gundagardi, and frankly, this is Bemani going on. There is one word for it, Bemani. No, give me a minute. Can I just quickly take in
Not only
I have some callers with me. Give me a moment. Let's quickly listen into them. Give me a minute here. I believe we have Ved Prakash from New Delhi with us. Give me a moment here, Rahul. Ved Prakash with us from New Delhi. Mr. Ved Prakash, please go ahead. Good evening.
यस यस श्रेया मैडम, पहले तो आपको बहुत बहुत नमस्कार और मेहरा साहब को भी बहुत बहुत नमस्कार. कैन यू हियर मी?
Namaskar. बोलिए. Yes, Ved Prakash ji, namaskar to you from both our sides. Go ahead, please.
ये जो आपने प्रोग्राम शुरू किया, हम जैसे गरीब आदमियों के लिए तो बहुत ही बढ़िया आपने काम शुरू करा. परमात्मा आपको स्वस्थ रखे, सबसे पहली बात है. दूसरी बात ये है बहुत बड़ी कि जो आपने कहा ना गुंडागर्दी चल रही है, ये हकीकत क्या है कि जो पहले मेरठ में जो लोग गाड़ी काटते थे, इन लोगों के हाथ में इन्होंने दिल्ली सरकार वालों ने दे दिया है. कीमती सामान निकाल लेते हैं, बाकी उसको जो बाहर का जो स्ट्रक्चर है उसको ये डंप कर देते हैं. दूसरी बात, मेरी गाड़ी इतनी बढ़िया है जो मैंने 12 लाख रुपए की खरीदी, स्कोडा, कुल 50,000 किलोमीटर चलिए. अच्छे अच्छे ऑफिसर की गाड़ी मेरी गाड़ी के मुकाबले नहीं होगी. क्या है कि उसका 1 साल अभी और बाकी है. आपने बहुत बढ़िया इशू उठाया हम गरीब आदमियों के लिए कि जो परमात्मा आपके चैनल को, मैं तो बेनेट कोलमैन एंड कंपनी को बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद देता हूं कि आपके यहाँ भी इतना सोचने वाले हैं. और मिस्टर मेहरा जो सीनियर काउंसिल है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के, इनको भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Okay, Ved Prakash ji, बहुत धन्यवाद. Mr. Surab ji, the point is exactly this. I mean, Rahul Mehra is a citizen of Delhi, understands pollution here, but every citizen who has called on this show has had a question about the policy itself. Mike, you just heard it from Mr. Ved Prakash. I've been hearing it for the last 3 days from hundreds of citizens in Delhi saying, "Bhai, meri gaadi to bilkul theek hai." It may be 15 years old, but I've maintained it well. It's hardly done 40,000 kilometers. Why should I scrap it?
Well, the issue here is, firstly, it's a bad policy. And secondly, it's complete, how do I say, a misuse of a bad policy, which makes it even worse. But let's talk about the policy itself now. What it is. But again, I've said this earlier on your program, there's no logic to having just, let's say, 10 years or 15 years, just like that. It makes sense when you have it with a certain emission standard level. Clearly, a car which is BS6 is cleaner than BS4 and cleaner than BS3. But right now, you take the diesel case, BS4 came in 2010, and BS4 cars are by no means polluting. Yes, they're not as clean as BS6 cars, but still they've had a lot of cleanup technology. And, to kind of say that a 10-year-old car, a diesel, which is going to be BS4, is polluting and has to be scrapped is absolutely ridiculous. So starting with the way the NGT has kind of formulated this 10 and 15-year policy for diesel and petrol makes absolutely no sense. And I'm really shocked at hearing the stories of how cars were being picked up. I mean, it tantamounts to going into a car museum and starting to pick up 40 and 50-year-old cars because obviously they don't meet emission standards. Firstly, these cars were stationary. They were not even plying on the roads. So technically, they are not polluting. They're not being driven. So I think, I can understand if the cars were being driven and then they were caught over there. But to go into garages where work is being done and technically the cars are not even being used, so they're not even emitting any emissions. I mean, it just smacks of, as has been said, complete gundagiri and a total flouting of just basic rights to just go in and grab cars like that.
Dr. Mohan is calling us from Gurugram. Dr. Mohan, good evening. Please go ahead.
Very, very good evening to you, Shreya. First of all, you have my blessings, and I'm sure God will help your channel to be the best channel. This is the best thing, the best deed you are doing for middle class people. I'd like to bring 2 points, if you just give me time. One is Aam Aadmi Party, when they came into power, they said everything will do with referendum. Now, I'm totally disenchanted that why we Delhiites have brought them into power again. Because this, like you, I heard you earlier, I consider you one of the best anchors on prime time. And you said they are doing gundagirdi. I absolutely agree with you. I'm totally disheartened, disenchanted. And this misuse of policy is so impertinent. I mean, it's absurd that somebody filling off petrol pump, gas in the on the petrol pump, and these guys just come and nab the car. And that too, it happened to a friend of mine who They made him pay the whole bill for the petrol. And after that, the moment the fuel door was shut, fuel cover was shut, they took away his car. I mean, so absurd. I think it's skullduggery, real. I mean, how can an Indian citizen be so disempowered that he doesn't have right? I mean, cops can give him a warning, challan him, or whatever. But don't you agree that this kind of policy
Okay, Dr. Mohan.
cannot be in a democratic country? I just want 30 seconds more. See, this is a democratic country. We're talking about referendum. And you just cannot pick up somebody's car or from the gated colony, or somebody's going with his wife and stop him. He can get down and take the car, and that too is okay.
It's true.
10 seconds more. They can take the... Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, Dr. Mohan.
Yeah, I can say that, okay, you didn't stop the car and take it. But who gives them right to get the car scrapped? I mean, that is totally and so high-handed.
No.
I mean, this is the biggest joke of the year.
Very high-handed. It is very high-handed, and it is also very unfortunate. It is also very unfortunate. I just have time to take one more caller because I'm going to a BJP MP after that as well. Geeta, Ms. Geeta is calling us from Delhi. Ms. Geeta, please go ahead. Good evening.
I'm Geeta Gandhi calling. Hello.
Go ahead. Good evening.
हेलो हाँ मैडम ये मैं एक्चुअल में हॉस्पिटल में थी और मेरे घर के बाहर से मेरी गाड़ी अननोटिस विदाउट नोटिस उठा के ले गए हैं, टो करके ले गए हैं. हेलो.
अच्छा गीता जी.
हेलो.
तो गीता जी आपको अब अथॉरिटीज के पास जाना पड़ेगा. गीता जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर कॉलिंग अस. आप कह रहे हैं कि आप हॉस्पिटल में थी और आपकी गाड़ी को आपके घर के बाहर से टो करके ले गए हैं.
से उठा के ले गए हैं और विदाउट माय
connection to Ms. Geeta. Without giving you a notice.
हाँ जी.
So this is exactly what we are talking about. Her audio is, I think, coming and going, but we've heard Geeta ji there. Again, a citizen was in hospital from outside her house. Her car is picked up without any notice. This is the sort of high-handedness and gundagardi, ladies and gentlemen, that we are talking about. My point is,